What if I told you that one of the greatest legends in music history, David Bowie, was once told he had no talent? Not by a record label, not by a critic, but by another rock star. That's right. Before Ziggy Stardust lit up the world, Bowie was crushed by a brutal takedown from someone who had already made it. But here's the twist. You know this rock star's name too. This isn't just a story about an insult. It's a wild ride through jealousy, fame, and the music industry's dark side. In the next few minutes, we'll dive into 3 intense chapters. The insult that almost broke Bowie, the rivalry that sparked in secret, and how Bowie turned that insult into pure rocket fuel. Stick around, because the ending might just flip your view of both artists. David Bowie wasn't David Bowie yet. He was still David Jones, bouncing between short-lived bands, trying to find a sound that clicked. He had the look, the charisma, and endless ambition. But one thing he didn't have yet was respect. At the time, Bowie was working on songs that blended pop, blues, and theatrical flair. But the British rock scene? It wasn't ready for that. They wanted hard blues, gritty riffs, or psychedelic chaos. Bowie's style was considered weird. That's where the story takes a turn. One night at a gig in Soho, a young Bowie crossed paths with a man already on top of the world, Mark Bolan. Mark Bolan, the frontman of T-Rex, was the face of glam rock before glam rock even had a name. He was electric, flashy, and adored. When he walked into a room, people noticed. Bowie admired him. In fact, you could say he idolized him. The two shared similar dreams, flamboyant fashion tastes, and even the same early struggles. They were both hungry for fame, but Bolan had already found his. So Bowie did what any hungry young artist would do. He asked Bolan what he thought of his music, and Bolan didn't hold back. According to people close to Bowie at the time, Bolan smirked and said something along the lines of, "You'll never make it. You've got no talent." Just like that. No sugarcoating, no kindness, just raw dismissal from someone Bowie looked up to. It hit like a gut punch. Bowie was devastated, not just because the words stung, but because they came from someone who understood the game, someone who had made it. For days, Bowie went quiet. He even considered walking away from music altogether. Imagine that. No Space Oddity, no Heroes, no Ziggy, just silence. But here's the thing about Bowie. He had a fire most people couldn't see. And Bolan, whether he meant to or not, he just poured gasoline on it. What a lot of people don't know is that Bowie and Bolan's relationship started long before the fame. In fact, they were almost friends. They'd hang around the same clubs, ride the same trains, and even shared a manager briefly. But that closeness turned sour fast. Some say Bolan saw Bowie as a threat, that the younger artist was too bold, too experimental, and Bolan didn't like the idea of sharing the spotlight. Others believe Bolan was just arrogant, quick to dismiss anyone who didn't worship him. Either way, that single sentence, "You've got no talent," did more than bruise Bowie's ego. It sparked a transformation. Instead of quitting, Bowie doubled down. He changed his name to avoid confusion with Davy Jones of the Monkees. He started experimenting with mime, performance art, and wild new sounds. He soaked up every influence he could: Japanese theater, German expressionism, American soul. He rebuilt himself. And slowly, the music world began to notice. By 1969, Bowie released Space Oddity. It wasn't an instant hit, but it was different, haunting, cosmic. It showed that Bowie wasn't trying to be the next Beatles or Stones. He was aiming for something no one had done before. And Bolan? He started watching. The tables were about to turn. Because Bowie wasn't just evolving, he was coming for the crown. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, the British music scene was bubbling with energy. The Beatles had broken up, psychedelic rock was fading, and a new sound was ready to take center stage: glam rock. At the heart of this movement were two giants, David Bowie and Mark Bolan. After that harsh insult, Bowie didn't just survive, he transformed himself into a creature of pure theatrical genius. His alter ego, Ziggy Stardust, exploded onto the scene like a comet blazing across the sky. Bowie combined futuristic costumes, theatrical storytelling, and spacey rock like no one had ever seen before. At the same time, Mark Bolan was ruling with his band, T-Rex. Bolan was the original glam king, with hits like Get It On and Jeepster. His style was raw, more grounded in traditional rock and roll, but he had the charisma and swagger to captivate millions. The rivalry between Bowie and Bolan was never officially declared. There were no headline battles or public showdowns. Instead, it simmered under the surface, bubbling in interviews, fan discussions, and the subtle digs they threw at each other in songs and press. Bolan still carried the memory of telling Bowie he was talentless. To Bolan, Bowie was the pretender, the flashy showman who borrowed too much from other styles and never had the rawness Bolan believed was necessary to be a true rock star. But Bowie was quietly confident. He knew his strength was reinvention, shifting through styles and personas in ways Bolan never could. And the fans noticed. Throughout the early 70s, Bowie's star grew brighter. Albums like The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and The Spiders from Mars were critically acclaimed and commercially successful. Bowie was more than a musician, he was a cultural icon. Still, the tension between the two never fully went away. There were moments when they crossed paths at awards shows and parties, their interactions frosty at best. Both men knew the music world was watching, and both wanted to claim the throne of glam rock for themselves. But here's where it gets interesting. Behind the rivalry, there was respect. Though Bolan publicly dismissed Bowie as talentless years earlier, as Bowie's success skyrocketed, Bolan reportedly admitted to close friends that Bowie was the best in the business. He just hated to say it out loud. Bowie, for his part, admired Bolan's songwriting and charisma. He once said in an interview that Bolan had an unbelievable gift for melody and praised him as one of the early architects of glam rock. So what really happened? It wasn't just about talent or success. It was about identity, survival, and the pressure to be the biggest star in a scene full of larger-than-life personalities. Both men had demons. Bolan struggled with fame and personal issues. Bowie wrestled with his own self-doubt and identity. Their rivalry was a reflection of their fight against the music industry's ruthless demands. And the tragic end to this story came too soon. In 1977, Mark Bolan died in a car crash at just 29 years old. His death shocked the music world and left a giant hole in the glam rock scene. Bowie was deeply affected. He honored Bolan by covering one of his songs and kept his memory alive in interviews and tributes. The rivalry faded, replaced by a somber recognition of what could have been. But Bowie's journey was far from over. That insult, "You're talentless," became the spark that ignited a legendary career. Bowie proved that rejection and rivalry could be the fuel for greatness, not the end. David Bowie's rise after the insult was nothing short of extraordinary. The words "you're talentless" that Mark Bolan threw at him became less a wound and more a challenge Bowie embraced with unmatched determination. Throughout the 1970s, Bowie didn't just ride the glam rock wave. He reinvented it again and again. After Ziggy Stardust, he unveiled the Thin White Duke, the Berlin Trilogy, and countless other personas. Each one showed a new side of his artistry, pushing boundaries in music, fashion, and culture. But what's crucial to understand is how Bowie turned personal rejection into power. That brutal dismissal forced him to develop resilience. It made him fiercely independent and experimental. Bowie never settled for the easy path or tried to mimic what was already successful. Instead, he made the strange, the theatrical, and the avant-garde mainstream. Bolan, meanwhile, remained somewhat trapped in his initial style. While T-Rex had huge hits, Bolan's willingness to evolve was limited compared to Bowie's fearless shifts. This difference in adaptability is part of why Bowie's legacy outshines Bolan's today. Bowie's impact was monumental. He wasn't just a rock star, he was a cultural chameleon who influenced fashion designers, filmmakers, other musicians, and entire generations. Critics, fans, and even other artists often pointed to Bowie as a beacon of creative courage. His music pushed the envelope on gender, identity, and genre blending long before it became widely accepted. Looking back, it's almost poetic that someone who was once called talentless became one of the most influential musicians of the 20th century. But the story also teaches us something universal. Sometimes, the harshest words from the people closest to us, those who should lift us up, can push us to greater heights if we choose to rise above them. Bowie didn't just overcome Mark Bolan's insult. He redefined what talent meant. He showed that talent isn't just innate skill. It's perseverance, reinvention, and the courage to be different. Today, fans honor both Bowie and Bolan as pioneers of glam rock. While Bolan's career was tragically cut short, his influence remains. But it's Bowie's story, from a young man doubted and insulted to an immortal icon, that continues to inspire millions. So next time you hear someone doubting your talent or telling you you can't, remember Bowie's journey. If you enjoyed this deep dive into rock history, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments which music rivalry fascinates you the most. Until next time, keep rocking and stay inspired.